Love you, bro.
The guy! Oh my
Hey, down, this is Paul. Hey, if you get a chance, if you give me a call back, please.
You
Love you,
got
bro.
a Ron
I want
Jeremy.
to talk to you about the house. Hey, down, this is Paul. Love you, bro. Hey, down, this is Paul. Love you, bro.
Hi, I'm Trevor,
Hi, I'm John.
and you are listening to another episode of the Caps Off Show.
The only show completely filmed underwater.
There it is.
Remember
There
that?
it is. I remember
said
that.
filmed. I think it was recorded the first time.
You did, yeah.
Nobody remembers that line. They're probably lost.
Right. There's like 10 people who listen to this,
Yeah,
and they are not nearly as invested in the MulTrevErse as
that's okay.
we are.
It tickled me. That was like my original idea with this podcast is every podcast I wanted to come up with something that was like, I love the idea of an interchanging thing, like a funny thing you say at the beginning.
You
Kevin
used to
Smith
do that
has
with
had
John
that
Gone
a lot.
West. You would say, if you're listening to this, that means you are blank, 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 blank.
Yeah, I think that was one of my weaker ones. That's actually like a Comic Book Men. If you ever watch that show on AMC, Comic Book Men, another Kevin Smith thing.
No, I don't know what
He
that
would
is.
say, he would say at the end of the episode, or no, it was at the beginning. It's, welcome to Comic Book Men, the only show that blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I'm just I'm a glutton for interchangeable wacky quotes. That's
see.
my entire personality. That's what I try to live off of.
The last episode of the MulTrevErse
Yeah.
was leagues ahead of everything I've ever created. Do you agree?
It was Train Spotting Part 3.
It was there was some heroin. Did that look like real heroin? That looked like real heroin.
It looked like real heroin. When you unrolled that, I was like, wow, he is, like I said, you were missing maybe like a dirty cotton ball.
Yeah.
Because, I imagine you looked up what is in like a heroin stash, right?
Yeah, I had an idea, but I wanted to be sure, and I really threw in everything that I saw, but I hadn't seen something like that.
Do you know the heroin process?
You heat it up in the spoon to get it from powder to liquidy type, and then you pull it up into the needle and shoot it in your arm, right? Something like that, similar to that.
Yeah, see, I feel like I asked you that question to be like, do you know the process? Because I know the process.
Of course I don't.
Like, I'm related to an ex-heroin user, but even I don't know the process all the way. I just know that I don't even know how it gets. I think you put water in it at some point. You put it in the spoon. I think you drop water in, and the cotton is supposed to absorb something bad or some shit, and then you suck out the good or some shit like that. It's probably a great thing that I don't know how to do this.
I can DM Demi Lovato.
Oh, God, that's a terrible joke.
What no.
You shouldn't pick on people like that.
I have made so many worse jokes.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's Demi Lovato.
I
Sonny
don't
with
really-
a chance, Trevor.
I don't care about Demi Lovato, but
I've made,
I don't
I think,
take
plenty
shots
of-
at people for like drug abuse and shit like that. Except for crackheads. Crackheads are the best.
No, I don't mind, because I feel like you know what you're getting into.
Like the ones you see in the middle of the street. Those the ones are fair game. But like Demi Lovato, like she is a person. Those aren't people. I'm just kidding. This is all fucking around.
I won't budge. I'll stand behind that. I think that was a solid joke.
No, but I thought you were missing maybe some like burn marks on the spoon, because like I thought the biggest thing about your stash is like it's obviously not the first time he's done heroin.
Yeah,
he's not like Wayne. I really liked that it was in your Elvis tin.
A lot of people think that's funny.
It was really funny, and then it turned so dark.
Yeah,
and I think that was unintentional.
Mm-hmm. It was
but absolutely perfect. It worked really, really well, because of anybody who knows you well knows that you love Elvis.
Yeah.
So you're just,
I had other little vintage tins
of...
to use, but they belonged to my landlords, and I didn't want to. Like, these are sweet people. I don't want to put fake heroin in their tins.
So it was like a repeat of the first one, which I thought was cool.
Yeah,
but in a different tone. Working at the pizza place, working for pizza.
It was actually, see, this is going to be the first one that I'm willing to talk about forever. Mm-hmm. That was 2 years. The whole thing is real except for the heroin.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago. Me That was me 2 years ago when you knew me with.
You actually filmed that 2 years ago before you were in the film.
Right. That was. But everything that happened there was based on something that actually happened. The car conversation with Weston, which came out so good.
Yeah.
That was a multicam setup, so there were no continuity errors or anything. It was so well
was
done.
pretty
I love that
flawless.
man's acting.
Oh yeah.
That was real. That was something that actually happened. And
Both
I
of
found
those
out.
men, arguably all three of those men, because there were two of you on the screen.
Right.
So, all three of those men, amazing acting.
That was my best. I spent a lot of time. Actually, I was like, I want this to be serious, and I want it to be taken seriously, and I want to get a certain thing, so I better put the work in. And I spent like an hour before filming each part just listening to music and getting into the right headspace and thinking about the right things.
Yeah. Did you you were crying? Did you really cry?
I did really cry.
Wow!
'Cause I was-
Congratulations.
I had to go to a spot that I hadn't been in nearly 2 years.
Yeah, which is great for just exercising your acting abilities
Right.
in general.
Drama definitely looks a whole lot better on me than comedy, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it looks great, and I can't wait to put it to the test. I feel like if I ever have to be, I don't expect to act in many things, but if I ever have to and I have to cry, I think I'm gonna go for look up one of those videos where like a deaf 3-year-old gets a cochlear implant and they hear for the first time and they like smile at their mom. Those get me. Shit like that, or like a blind kid sees his mom for the first time or hears his mom's voice and everybody in the room smiling and crying. Fuck, those videos tear me down. That shit's not fair. How dare they put that on the internet? I'm not trying to be human today. That tears me up.
But yeah, that car scene was something that actually happened. That was like the night I found out I got cheated on.
Yeah.
I cried.
You cry in your car a lot.
I do cry in my car quite a bit, and that girl was the cause of a lot of the car crying. That still motivates me in the gym every now and again. I'll be like, how many fucking parking lots did you cry in? Come on. 3 more reps. That was a real thing where I had found that out, and I asked to go home. I finished all my chores, and I was like, I got to get out of here. And Stephanie, who I probably talked about before, was like, yeah, you can get out of here. And I called Weston, and I was the most upset that I've ever been. I cried so hard. I was numb. I was positive I was going to get in a car accident because I couldn't see past my steering wheel. But somehow I made it to that McDonald's out by my house, and
You followed the golden arches through the blurry darkness.
I talked with Weston in my car, except I actually, instead of going home and doing
Beacon
heroin,
of hope.
I actually did call her, and we got in this huge argument. I compared her to Bill Clinton. Because she just kept saying like I couldn't help, I didn't kiss him.
I had to
he
do it,
kissed
baby.
me. And so I was like, Bill Clinton, when he got sucked off by Monica Lewinsky, said I did not have sexual relations with that woman. She had them with me. That was his defense. That was a real thing. I was like, come on. If that didn't hold up in the fucking court of law, it's not going to hold up with me. Shut the fuck
I've
up.
never really looked into that, but I've definitely heard the line like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard the tail end of like, she did it to me.
Yeah.
I've never heard that part.
Yeah, that was my ex-girlfriend's defense, and so that's why I compared her to Bill Clinton. And it was a whole big thing. Rough night, but makes for a good film.
Which it's a slippery slope, because if you don't have the context to that, it kind of makes you seem like a bad guy.
Well, you have enough context to know I just got cheated on.
True.
So
but,
for me to be upset and calling her and arguing with her, is
I'm
reasonable.
saying no. I'm saying like from the, if you don't, like, audience perspective, if you don't have the full context of it, and you're saying like, yeah, I found out she cheated on me, and her only defense was like, he came on to me, like, what a bitch. Like, that could have been a real situation
definitely
with more
a lot
details
more.
and stuff. But like, yeah, it definitely wasn't like that.
Yeah,
It was,
you knew how that
she
went.
knew what she was doing.
Right.
I'm just saying the way you were describing it just sounded a little like, yeah, can you believe her?
No, yeah, there was definitely a whole lot more to that.
Okay,
and I wasn't
Bill.
perfect in that relationship. Back then I was so straight arrow that I was
Very straight up.
extremely straight arrow. Like I hadn't even had my first tattoo at that point because I was still like, I don't know.
I don't
I don't
really
wanna-
take credit for it, but for the sake of the podcast, I'm gonna.
I think
It
you,
took a
you're-
lot of
you're-
handiwork.
Yeah, you are
Molding you like clay.
to thank for a lot of it. I mean, right here, right now, I'm drinking a beer with you.
Yeah.
Never in a million years. 2 years ago, it would have been very like, no fucking way would that ever happen.
I'm sure Anakin never thought he'd be slaying younglings in the Jedi Temple, but
Well, not quite the same. I like to see this as more my Darth Vader returning to Anakin Skywalker, not Anakin Skywalker turning to Darth Vader.
that's good. You were. How long was your Vader phase then? Like it was just while you were dating Caroline, or were you like 9 years old and you were Vader?
I want to say it was like my Vader phase was probably maybe freshman year to senior, or freshman year to like to Caroline, yeah. Or maybe a little before then. But I was just so like adamant, like I got to be a good kid. But there were other things that I did before that. Yeah. Yeah, that's as good as it's gonna get. You're my Luke Skywalker. You like that?
I'll take it. I love it. It's better than Sidious, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of a past topic, but I wanted to talk to you about it. I feel like everybody in the world's already talked about it. We always get to topics late.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? If you're listening, you're listening, I guess. The Harry Styles thing. Wearing a dress.
Oh, well, yeah. Who gives a fuck?
Thank you.
Like, okay. Well, I don't understand.
I feel like I don't even have to say anything. He's just gonna go.
Yeah, that's one of those that's like, I didn't even understand why it was why is there controversy at all? I saw that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Who cares?
I feel like the world's going in a better place when you wake up and you have to think, wait, people are fucking mad about this?
Yeah.
People are really mad about this.
Well, that's the same as
or like they have even an inkling of a bone to pick with this.
I get that same thing with the Animal Crossing stuff. Because Animal Crossing introduced new hairstyles that a lot of people were like, this is exclusively a black hairstyle. If you're a white person, you can't use this hairstyle. And so people would see people in Animal Crossing with like this. It wasn't like an afro. It was just like rows in the hair. And
so,
people
like
are calling other
person
people
with
racist
cornrows?
for, yeah, it's not even cornrows, but it's just, it kind of looks like Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn's hair in the comics. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
It kind of looks like that. And so people are like seeing
odd
like
creative
white
choice.
people with that, and they're like, wow, this is modern day blackface. So I guess just two extremes. You got like angry liberals who are like, you're being racist, and then angry conservatives who are like, man wearing a dress, how fucking,
Yeah.
you know. Even though I think, well, I might have just misgendered Harry Styles there. I think they are using pronouns they them. I'm pretty sure. Not sure at all.
Are there pronouns amongst that person that you know of? I guess that's the
don't know, I just
safest way to
burped right
say
in the
that sentence,
microphone,
I
though.
think.
Oh well, yeah. Harry Styles wearing a dress.
I don't
is,
mind dancing around it.
Not something to be upset about. And I was really thinking like, why?
In the effort to make it correct.
What's the point?
Why
Why are you wasting energy being angry about someone that you've never met
That's very
doing
well
something
said.
that you wouldn't do? Like, who cares?
Damn.
Stay in your fucking lane.
See, this is why I love having Trevor around, because when Trevor's near me, I feel like I'm using the left brain and the right brain. You know what I mean? Like they say you use 10% of your brain. I
Right.
feel like I'm using the other 90 when you're in the room.
Okay.
I feel
thank
like I'm complete.
I don't
I
understand.
love you.
Well, it's a little soon to be saying the L word. We've only done 27 podcasts together.
No, but I don't know why. For some reason, when I saw this initially, I thought of I didn't think of you. I thought of asking you.
You think Trevor would wear a dress?
No, that's literally what I thought of. Like, not of like, do I think Trevor would wear a dress? I thought of me sitting here asking you, Trevor, would you do that? Would you get up and wear a dress? But before you answer, that was, I had time to think about that question. And I was like, that's a good one. I'm going to do that. And I went into my notepad and I was like, I'm going to type that down for later. I'm going to ask him that. And then in that time it took me to go there, I realized I have seen you in a dress.
Yeah, I was about to say I've worn a dress
You've
on
been
several occasions.
in full
Drag.
garb. You've
Yeah.
been in drag. You've been a
Lip-syncing
woman
to
before.
It's Raining Men by the Weather Girls.
You and Weston going hard on It's Raining Men.
Yeah.
Arguably, like, if there was a great choice, by the way. Did you have a choice?
Yeah.
Will you pick that song?
I did. I love that song.
That is...
I unironically
I
love
don't
that
know
song.
if I would ever dress up in drag. It's not like anything to say about, like, I'm not afraid of,
Right.
you know, question my sexuality or anything like that. I just don't like maybe for a joke. Who knows? I have a long life ahead of me. Maybe I'll wear drag someday. I'm not against it. The point is like, if I ever were going to do it, though, and someone's like, well, what song do you want to do this to? I cannot think of any other song than It's Raining Men.
Oh,
hallelujah. It's Raining Men.
There are some good ones. I can't remember a single
That's
song
amazing.
that anyone else used. I think nowadays I might use like Playdate by Melanie Martinez.
Every now and then you just hit it right on the fucking nail. And I love that.
I like music. I like thinking about these moments.
And
So
what-
when that kind of showed up, I was like, nah, I've always thought about this anyway.
Yeah.
I always thought about these kind of things.
If I ever wear drag. What year did you do that? That's
2017.
way ahead of what? Yeah. So
I was a senior because I went to
perfect.
school the next day and I was talking to my JOTC company and I was
You're
like,
ahead of Harry Styles.
yeah. I was talking to my JOTC company doing the little morning announcements.
Unless
and I
he was
like,
wearing dresses. Well, I mean,
No, he wasn't dressed in drag.
publicly you're ahead of Harry Styles. He could have been
Right.
wearing dresses years before you.
Yeah, I didn't want to get made
We
fun
have no
of.
authority
and
on that.
I didn't want to, so I just didn't even beat around the bush, and I just told like this class of 40 high school kids, like, sorry if my eyes look a little weird. I was having trouble getting mascara off. I dressed in drag last night, and I got 4th place in a drag show.
Bitch.
I think you own it. People can't make fun of you for it.
I agree.
I think that's absolutely factual, or at least if they do,
the majority
you
of the
won't
time
you
that
won't be
works.
hurt if you're
Yeah.
proud of it. You can't get hurt.
It's never worked against me. I think every time I've leaned into that before.
Yeah.
Like, I'm extremely pro LGBT, so when someone attacks me with, like I have a lot of Facebook arguments with conservatives every now and then.
I don't
Just
understand.
every now and then I just need to find a page and just take some of my pent up, because I don't get out of the
house. We're
house.
going to talk about this in a second. I want you to finish the
Okay.
other, but we'll come back to this because this is something I really want to iron out.
All right. I think I can make you understand because I know
Okay.
where you're going to go with it. But anytime anyone tries to be like, I would say something kind of sus, and they'd be like, "Oh, you gay?" I'd be like, "Well, what if I am? You know, what if are you gonna come at me for loving dicks? Because if not, if so, I'm gonna love dicks even more. You know."
Right. You
Like,
say
I'm
something
not
kind
a-
of sus, not like if I had to kiss a guy, but more like I was sucking this guy off, giving him the real, like.
I think
And
more
someone's
of
like,
it's
"Whoa,
just-
John, are you gay?" And you're like, "Why does it fucking matter?"
I think more of it's just like if I'm arguing with someone who's very right wing, and I allude that I'm pro like LGBT, sometimes a lot of them take that as like, oh, that's easy. Now I can be like, this guy's a fag. So, which
Yeah.
it's not faze me at all.
Yeah, like arrows off a dragon's
Yeah.
scales.
So, it doesn't faze me, but it does irritate me in the way of like, what if I was fucking gay? I don't want you calling a gay person gay. You know, I don't want you coming.
How dare they be?
Yeah.
How dare they
That's
be
not-
gay and
that's
get
a terrible
called
way
that?
to say that, but you get what I'm coming at. Like, I don't want you out here bullying other people that would have taken offense to that.
Right.
But I'm glad I'm the one who's hearing the hate speech because I'm not affected by it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But where are you wanting to go with this conversation?
Because I think I cannot see wasting the energy arguing with someone that I don't know. I refuse to argue with you about anything political, remember?
Yeah.
So I can't see wasting that energy on somebody that I don't know, that I've never met, who will never affect me. If it really upsets me, the block button's right there. But even then, nothing I see on social media will ever upset me because it's an Xbox Live party chat.
Yeah.
Someone can say whatever they want with zero consequences. And when you read out their fucking address, they shut the fuck up. Right? So I cannot comprehend arguing with somebody in Facebook comments. I had my little phase. I did that in like 2016 when that election was happening. And then after that, I was like, that took a lot out of me. I was angry at a lot of people, and I burned a lot of bridges with a lot of people because I don't know, wanted to be a dick, wanted to have some fun. Wanted to exercise my my arguing. I don't know. And so now, the 2020 election rolled around, and I just kind of came to where I needed to be and voted whichever way I voted, and I didn't see a point in going out of my way to make sure everybody knew it, and to take down the people that I thought that were disagreeing with me and saying things that I hated. I didn't see a need to. Someone's got to put an end to this.
Right.
I got them back by voting where I voted.
Okay.
My boss specifically, who got in my face and pointed at me and cursed at me. And
now every day you get to tell her that I canceled your vote out.
Yeah.
With my vote.
Well, she has COVID now.
Oh,
I just found out this
really?
morning her and her husband have COVID.
No way.
Yeah.
When's the last time you were around her?
A long time ago.
Oh,
I was almost around her Monday, but she had a doctor's appointment. What about Levi?
Yeah.
I don't know about Levi.
That's the bridge.
Kind of is the bridge. I don't think he's seen her in a while either.
Okay, hope not.
But,
anyway.
Oh, God, he texted me. Okay, all right. Levi might listen to this. So if you're listening, Levi, I'm on to your shit, okay? She comes in one day a week. Mondays. Mm-hmm. My boss. And she has COVID, and he texted me and told me, and then he was like, yeah, so we need to kind of pull together and pick up some of the slack from her not being there. I'm going to be gone all weekend, so can you close on Sunday? And I was like, thinking, like, she's there Are you seeing why I'm upset?
Yeah, she's there one day a week.
Yeah, that has nothing to do. Don't use that to try and trick me into saying, like, yeah, because I got to pick up some of the slack. Because I know, even if she was there...
So instead of cracking the whip the way he could be, he's trying to...
I would say yes in a heartbeat if he had just asked me straight up and honestly and not used our boss being sick as if I'm gonna think like oh my God, yeah, she's being sick, let me cover his shift on a day that she's not even usually there. I mean, if he had just asked me like, hey, I'm gonna be out of town all weekend, can you cover my shift on Sunday, I would have said yes. But using it this dishonestly just made me angry. It makes me want to say no.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say yes, but makes me want to say no.
So, but where we were going with the Facebook comment section thing. So, I completely understand all of what you said makes 100% sense, and I completely go along with that. I actually feel like I get a lot of use out of what I do with my my perusing of certain comment sections.
Yeah.
And every now and then I'll get into a scuffle with like a family member, and usually one with opposing views as me, and I saw
that kept popping up saying John Van Hook commented on this.
I don't think I'm all that radical when it comes down to it. I just feel like some of the stuff that I do feel the need to argue, it just has that kind of weight of just like, are you kidding me? Like I'm befuddled as to why we're even sitting here having this conversation, especially because like when it comes to my brother, right?
Yeah.
I know his background. I know his life.
Oh God, yeah, I saw that in the you brought him up. You were
everything.
Like, bold of you to say that about somebody when you're not too great yourself.
Exactly.
And he got so pissed.
I could. And if you don't like to hear it, don't try to think that you have a hand in any conversation where like what you have to say carries weight when you've done things. That's how, like, say you're in a court of law. That's how they judge things.
Yeah.
They don't think like, oh, you standing in front of me right now, you're standing tall, you're standing confident, and you're speaking very well. Why shouldn't I believe you? No, they look at your record and they see what you have done with your time on this earth.
And if you're going to try and condemn someone else for doing something you've already done, come on.
Yeah, that's exactly what anybody else on the earth does when they go to be like, all right, well, this guy's saying some pretty, like, that's a bold statement. He's saying some pretty defining stuff. Does he have credibility?
Right.
Or is he credible, Mm-hmm. And when you look at it, and when I'm faced with an argument with someone like him, I pull out a few stops to be like, well, you aren't the defining word on that because of this. You aren't, you can't say that because of this that contradicts that. And
but how easy is it to just move your thumb and just scroll past it and then forget it ever happened? It's that easy. and you just watch a film video or
Well, that's
something
what
that
I'm-
actually improve the things
That's
that you
what
care
I'm talking about because it's personal when it comes to Jacob. So there's two different things.
Okay, that's
my brother
fair.
Jacob.
I can understand with the
personal
family
there.
members, yeah.
And then I'll get to when it's random people. But first, when it's with him, it's like we had your childhood. You were a few years ahead of me, but your childhood went right parallel with mine. We lived the same childhood in the same
parents,
home,
same house,
same
everything.
class,
Yeah.
same fucking everything happened to us the same way. We were on food stamps. We, we went to food banks, the churches, every Sunday to get food. How can you be this conservative and this it blows my mind.
Wait, so you're saying so you said the churches food drives, like they collected food and then gave it to people in need?
Yeah, we were those
That's
people
weird.
in need.
50% you say are bad?
Wait, what?
From that other podcast. I was just because we had that whole argument about churches and whether they're good or bad.
No, see, okay.
No, I'm just making a joke.
Okay,
don't argue with me about it.
You could turn that against me, but I also wasn't marching to that church. That was all my parents. So you're going to take that up with them. I did eat the food, but that's because...
I'll bring it up first thing.
Yeah, you got me. I ate the fucking, crisp cereal and fucking, off-brand, hexagon instead of Chex.
What we didn't see is there was some cans given to people like you.
Yeah.
And then just the people at the head of the church just hoarding all the fucking real food for
Yeah.
themselves.
Like some real
Salisbury
gourmet
steak
shit.
and
But, okay, so when it gets with family members, sometimes it's personal. Just because it's I know you as a person. You're such a good person.
Yeah.
But these values that you're supporting are so contradicting. It's not even funny. And so sometimes I have to...
boy.
Oh, yeah. Mom must have let him out. Sometimes I have to question that and just be like, where are you coming from with this? But when it comes to random people, most of the time I don't... It's usually when I see something like an article that's outrageous. A lot of them, I'd say maybe 75% of the articles I go through while reading online, it's like, this one's a hook. And if I go to the comment section, I know I'm going to see an opinion that I don't like.
Yeah.
So that's an obvious for me. So it comes down to very specific ones that I would spend my time on. And I think it's been a process for me. Because when I used to, first started doing this and hopping in and just trying to give my opinion here and there, I would get really into it, really emotionally invested, and I wouldn't really get anywhere because you're not going to change many people's mind on the internet. You're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
So a lot of that would just be fighting to the bitter end. It's like, I know I'm right. I know I'm right about this. And it's just like, you should think these things too. It'll only make sense. And it's like, you're trying to make me out to be the bad guy, but literally the only values I have are literally for the people, not for it's for the good of people, more people, not me, not me and my family, and that's it. The people. I feel like when it comes to government, that's the whole fucking point. That's the point. It should serve the people. So that's what I try to focus so much around. But I feel like the idea of conservatism has been so just they got good at it. They got good at conserving so much that it's just gotten to an all-time, they're just fucking just vacuums of just
Do you think there's nothing...
We take, and giving should only be under certain circumstances and to these people that can also benefit us.
Do you think that there are values that are worth conserving at all? Or that everything should be more progressive?
There definitely are. There's just a time to play. You can't be conservative across the board.
Oh, I
and
agree.
You also can't base politics and government off religion, which is a huge conservative problem.
But a lot of people's morality comes from religion, and I would argue that
that's true. But
morality is the basis for your political views, which is why logical people will change their mind when offered something. When it's put into a way that they're like, oh shit, yeah, I guess I do feel that way, and I can apply that to this,
But that logic alone is just proving why a lot of conservatives are wrong, because they're basing, morals are very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're interchanging. They're, up to up
Well,
to
they
you
are, but
personally.
there is good stuff that comes out of the Bible. I guess
They're
we'll come
really
back to
good
this.
stuff, but there's also a lot
religious
of
people,
bad and unnecessary stuff
there
that
is.
people lean into heavily for
Religious people tip me
reasons
better
other
at
than
Uptown than anyone else
self-gain.
because they're so like focused on just giving and making sure that everyone else can receive the way that they've received.
Yeah. The point is where I was getting
Right,
at.
right. Why do you argue with strangers on the internet?
It started off with just like that, being really invested, and over time I would talk to other people and observe how other people handle these same kinds of people coming out with the same arguments, and a lot of them are very hollow. And so I would just try to adapt as much as I can, because I probably mentioned it on the podcast before. I feel like I've said it to you before at least. But I read this thing that said, like, every time you stop yourself from acting on an anger or like an angry impulse or anything like that, any kind of impulse, your brain is rewiring yourself to be better at that. And so I think about that, like, maybe I can challenge that. And that's really where a lot of discipline is rooted from, is like you got to have discipline at some beginning, and then discipline grows over time. It's like any skill.
Yeah.
So I kind of applied that to talking to people that have opinions that are extremely different from mine, so much that, like, in a real argument, I would get angry if a lot of these people are saying these things to me, because it's like, that's just so far against what I believe in. And I feel like, again, I have to stress that I don't believe in very many radical things. It's like common sense things, like people should get help. People should, we're not barbarians. Like, just because it's capitalist doesn't mean we have to be absolutely selfish. And just because we give a little doesn't mean we're fucking communists.
Yeah.
It's not black and white. There's programs to help, and like a lot of people who are against all this help don't realize exactly how much of this help that they receive from the government. It's insane. But so when it comes to addressing these people, I tried to get this discipline in myself over time to, like, not only not go for the low-hanging fruit, don't go on their profile, look for something that I can attack them about if I run out of arguments.
Where's Papa?
Yeah.
They're fucking dead. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I see like a fucking memoir on their profile, and I'm like, oh, sure, Miss Uncle.
Would Papa agree with you right now? Is this what he would want?
Exactly. But so no, you don't do things like that, and then you start to just rely on your logic. And if your logic alone and the facts that you're saying alone can't be what holds the argument, then it's not worth saying. And that's what brings a lot of the, like, when I come in and I feel a need to say something, it's because someone is dead wrong, and I feel almost a personal responsibility for someone to not see this and be like, all right, well, here's another logical other side of that. You should see both sides of the coin.
You've already said that, like, you're not going to change many people's minds on the internet. And
no.
I just feel like if it's a waste and energy that you could be putting toward anything else. You're writing a movie.
True, but that's true. But I have this, like, a left, a right, and a middle kind of concept when it comes to people. And that's almost how the election, it felt like it went heavily, because, there's a lot of people who were like, maybe this is the year. We're going to stick it to them. We're not going to go red. We're not going to go blue. We're going to pick our own people. Yeah. And those people got fucking, 10, 13, whatever percent of the vote.
I don't even think it was that high.
Yeah, and then Yeezy got his percentage. It didn't do anything.
The birthday party.
A lot of people thought, like, this was the year that we're going to stick it to him, but it didn't do anything.
Well,
I feel like there's always that, like,
I think it's more about the sentiment.
Area. So I don't want that gray area who's coming to a comment section to be like, well, I want to hear both people's arguments, to see just one and not see someone else's. So if I see one without one and that person's dead wrong and they're just saying stuff that's just blatantly, like, that's straight up conspiracy theory shit, and you just need to not be saying that. Yeah, you just can't be saying that out loud. Like, you can say it. Of course, you have the freedom of speech, but, like, these things have consequences. You can't yell fire in a movie theater. The things have consequences when you say things.
So you don't do it to convince the other person. You're doing it on the chance that somebody will see it and it'll convince that person.
Mm-hmm. And every now and then I do, like I said earlier, I don't leave this house very often. This house we're sitting in right now, I don't get out very often. That's mostly because of COVID. I think most people should be trying to exercise that as much as they possibly can.
COVID and a baby.
But yeah, then there's the baby. That's the big part of it. But when I get the option to leave, it's not very often that I do. But at the same time, I don't have like a regular job that I get out and talk to people. I talk to you. I talk to people I know. So when it comes to my random people in public, you've been with me in public. Sometimes I like to be really nice to people, and sometimes I like to be just that random guy who said a random crazy thing.
I don't know if we've already talked about it. We probably have. When you went to the gym with me for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
And
it was longer than that.
Was it 2 months?
It was longer than that, you fucker. It was at least fucking 7 to 8 months.
It was not 7 to 8 months.
Yes, it was. I paid a lot of money going to that gym.
It was.
I kept track of that.
All right, let's do some thinking here. We were getting ready to quit. It was March. I got my. It was not 7 to 8 months.
It had to be over 5 months.
I can see that.
Okay.
Because March was when I got
the membership. The story you were telling. It's not important.
Okay, you went to the gym with me for like 3 months, and that army recruiter walked in, and he was like, hey, I'm looking for the guy that owns the gym. We're like, yeah, we think he's back in that room, and he was like, all right, great. Hey, have you? And you were like, absolutely not. Just cut him off.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the spiel a million times. So he didn't want me anyway. Right. It's just better if I just cut it off right before it even has a chance to grow.
But I've also seen, for some reason, right now I can't think of a specific example, even though I know there are plenty.
I don't do it often.
I've been in public with you, and we've talked to a complete stranger, and you've been like just one of the nicest people around, to the point where I'm almost like, wow, if John wanted to flirt that person's pants off, he definitely could have.
I try to gauge whether people deserve it or not.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do from the you can't judge a book by the cover.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to as much as possible, just because I don't know, some people need their fucking just desserts, and if I can give that to them little by little, cent by cent throughout the day with my fucking backhanded remarks if they're wearing a Trump shirt in public, just random stuff like that.
So there's a
but okay, so before you go on, I'm sorry, I just wanted to wrap up the comment thing.
Okay.
And then there's this one other thing where my aunt, I've talked about her before. She's my political Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
She, I treasure her so much when it comes to politics because she looks at absolutely every news story. She literally is just like a vacuum for news. She reads articles on her phone all day, and when she's not, she's just surfing through back and forth each news channel. She gets it from each end. It's the perfect way to build either like a level, like I don't have that strong of an opinion, or you're like, I know which one I super want to go with based off of everything I've seen. And so when she makes a definite opinion, I'm like, yeah, that must be well educated, because I can engage her on most things, and she'll start to talk about some shit that I've never heard about, that it's like they did this on this day and they all voted for this and it was agreed or rejected, blah blah blah. She's crazy. Anyway, crazy good. So she follows a lot of like Arizona congressmen and women, stuff like that, on Facebook, and I keep getting notifications for one of them, and that's Debbie Lesko.
I have no idea who that is. I've never heard that name.
Most people don't, but she has a page, Debbie Lesko for Congress, and she's extremely right-wing. I have to give her props. She's very pro-women. I can't say that's like women, people of color, which is where that kind of falls to the wayside. Like you can be like very pro-women, but if you're not all, more than white women.
Yeah, I have a Twitter. I've heard of white feminism.
Yeah, it almost falls the other way. But so she's very feminist, is just awesome. She does a lot of great stuff for women, but she's also just like up fucking Donald Trump's ass, and every crazy thing he says, she just goes on and reposts and supports. So when he comes out and says there's mass election fraud, she's like, making these posts where blah blah blah, I talked with Fox News, there's the most fraudulent election ever, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
All this crazy stuff, and it's like you're just helping feed into that fire, and I don't appreciate people like you being out here. But I always see when I'm scrolling through my Facebook, my aunt is usually in there correcting people or making very valid arguments or educating people. She's extremely polite when she does it too. If someone engages her, she just says, all right, have a nice day.
Yeah.
And she's awesome at it. And that's where I built a lot of my discipline off of it, because it's like you have to know when it's time to, you got to know when to hold them.
Know when to fold them.
Fold 'em.
Look at this poker table.
Yeah, great. It's velvety. It's nice. Yeah. I can't wait to make this poker table be in absolutely everything I ever film. Fold it up in the background. I don't care. Anyway, but so every now and then when I see someone in there being mean to her, that's when I'll like be like, all right, well, my Aunt Lisa is a very respectable person and she doesn't stoop that low. But that doesn't mean I can't. And so I'm very, like, I hold that discipline unless I'm in the Debbie Lesko comments section. And that's where the shit's going down. Because nobody talks to my aunt like that. They're calling her like crazy and say she's like drinking all day just because, and she's very big. She's
drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, she's drinking. No, like she's just like, you must be drunk if you're saying this crazy kind of stuff. Just like being.
Which
I don't
isn't
like
quite
people,
how,
like
at least in my
mean.
1 month of experience, not quite how being drunk works.
Yeah, I'm liberal now. I just don't like people being mean to my aunt.
Yeah,
I don't go for that.
I get that. I can understand it from a superhero kind of protecting the innocent kind of way, protecting those who don't deserve it.
I don't do the thing like, oh, I bet you miss Papa. Like I don't go that low though. I just be like a little bit more like, I try to play with him a little bit, and just like they do the thing where like I was talking about earlier, maybe they tried to call me a fag. I'll just play with that a little bit, talk about sucking dick or something.
Right.
Just
play
really
with some dick a little bit.
Just really just try to like make every jab they take completely effortless and hollow.
Yeah, just let it fall flat. Yeah. Weston's got this thing where if someone insults him,
helps him.
He goes, and they have to repeat themselves. And like 9 times out of 10, when someone has to repeat like a mean thing that they said, they don't want to because they know how mean it was.
I feel like as a person who like hasn't had as solid of a relationship with Weston as you had, if I just learn as much as I can, I could just completely break him down every step he tries to take. Because if he told me enough, and like if he sticks to his classic things like that, I could just try to fuck with him as much as possible.
Maybe. I don't know. I think sometimes I fantasize about an argument between you two.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen.
So well educated, and every now and again he'll take some conservative view that I think I'm like, wow, you really seem to know what you're talking about. I'd love to see what John thinks about that. And I don't see it getting out of hand. I when I say argument, I don't want to see you guys shouting at each other, but I can see you guys having like an actual like informed discussion. Yeah. What I was going to say earlier,
I'd be excited to exercise my discipline when it comes to that. I think I'm getting really good at it now. Yeah. In fact, somebody just the other day, there was an article about Doug Ducey certifying the Arizona election, and can't remember what I said, but somebody came back at me with a really, really, really nasty comment, and I was just like, "Love always wins, man." Joe Biden won. That's how it goes.
I see people posting like, "The election isn't over. Joe Biden's not the president-elect. All right, we just got to wait to see how this pans out." And I'm like, okay, you're the same people that were saying, just accept it. Hillary lost 4 years ago. It's so frustrating. It's just so frustrating.
Honestly, it's funny that you
Both
say that.
Both sides of them are so frustrating.
It's really funny that
hypocritical.
I love that you're saying all this right now.
Okay.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because this whole election, you've been like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
I still don't give a fuck.
But no. But you'll be like, you won't even hear the arguments and shit and like what people say. And then when it comes to after the election, when it's already said and over, and the people who are like, it's not over, it's like those are the people who irritate you instead of the people who beforehand.
People who are still pro Joe Biden irritate the fuck out of me too, because it's like, all right, great, you won. Let's forget about it for 3 years like we just did.
I just think it's funny because those are the people who don't irritate me. Like when I see somebody being like, it's not over, blah, blah, wait for this. I get this warm feeling inside when I'm like, oh, you're going to find out. Oh, yeah. You're going to find out, and it's going to be so sweet. And you're going to beat your wife, and you're going to fucking kick the dog.
Politics they bore me, and the fact that people throw themselves into them disturbs me. And I just feel like, all right, yeah, great. I can't wait for January or February. I can't wait for January 22nd.
Are you telling me you don't understand why people could get into politics?
I definitely understand it, but at this point, I just think it's such a weird thing to get into, and so many people just forget about politics for 3 years, and then
true.
every election
year.
year.
It is really easy to get just consumed with it.
Right. And I had, like I said earlier, in 2016, I had my huge political phase, and I cut off a lot of people, and I had all these arguments, and I was so angry all the time, and I can't stand being like that. I hate being angry. I hate being sad. I hate feeling negative emotions, and that's all that politics did for me, was just bring out negative emotions. So in 2020, when it came time to talk about it, I'd be like, no, I'll just stay in my lane, deal with my own views myself, and we will be all good to go. I don't like it. I think hatred is corrosive, no matter what you're hating in the name of. So
it's good, and I completely agree with you, but at the same time, sometimes you just got to get involved. Sometimes
Sure.
No matter how you hate it, you have to pay attention to it.
Sure.
Because if things don't get paid attention to, then the people who benefit off of it not getting paid attention to will reap the benefits and our losses. Just how it goes. So it goes. You ever heard of the egg?
I've heard of eggs, yeah. I know what they are.
Like it's a short story. It's also like a theory of consciousness and the way, like, almost like a religion type, but it's not really religion.
Is it like every human life is the same consciousness, just at different points? Like you.
Yeah, that's exactly. What it is.
Yeah. I know this. I like that a lot, actually.
I just heard about this the other day. It was very interesting. I enjoy hearing about, which is weird because I don't like religion, and for some reason stuff like that seems just a lot.
Oh yeah, you don't like religion, but you'll steal all their fucking food all day, huh?
You bet. You know I.
You
have that
piece of shit!
off-brand
I gotta get
peanut
involved. People like you are reaping the benefits.
Yeah. Well. There's my left brain.
So anyway, about the egg.
That's literally. I just had the egg in my notes here. I just wondered
if you don't know, the egg is something about like every human life is the same. So you live one human life and you die, and your consciousness gets moved to another one at some random point in time, and then
all of this takes place within an eggshell.
Right, and you live through every single human life that ever was and ever will be, and when you've done that, you are essentially hatched in a way. You have enough life experience and enough knowledge and wisdom over living all these lives that you're ready to become a god yourself. In which case you have an egg and create another. You become some higher being, right. And we are just incubating.
I think one of the most important parts about this is the part that I like to focus on the most, which is the root of.
That means I'm John Lennon.
The root of why any of these like theories or ideas about life exist.
Also Demi Lovato. So.
Which is basically how you should act as a human.
Mm-hmm.
And that idea of like every one of these people alive is you. You will live all of these lives, every all
every
these
awful
are you.
thing,
so
every
you should
great thing,
interact
every
with these
low and
people
every high.
The way you would want to be interact. It's literally just
But it's always interesting because it begs the question. Everybody is so confident in what they know is real and what they believe in.
Uh-huh.
If that were the case, if the egg were real, you would have to ask yourself, am I at the beginning?
Am I in the fucking egg right now?
Am I at the beginning of this stream of consciousness, or am I toward the end? I know I feel like I'm probably toward the end because I know all more, but what if you're not?
Do you think creatures are included in the egg?
I don't know.
So, like, would you literally hatch from an egg in the egg?
You're
like if you lived a chicken's
a turtle,
life,
run into the fucking ocean,
or a turtle,
to the moon.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or do you think it's a good question?
I figure it would probably only be people, but I don't know.
I don't know. Whoever wrote the egg.
So there's this conspiracy theorist, and he dies and he goes to heaven, right?
Yeah.
And God says, "Hey, look, you made it. You can ask me one question. You get one question. I will give you the end-all, be-all, 100% correct answer of how it actually was." And he was like, "All right, who killed JFK?" And God goes, "John F. Kennedy was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald alone with a rifle, exactly as the media portrayed it." And the conspiracy theorist goes, this goes higher up than I thought.
I like that. I actually heard a joke the other day. We were just talking about jokes the other night. When I was telling you that my watermelon joke about how
yeah.
every time I have to think of a joke, like, anybody know any jokes? For some reason, every joke I've ever heard escapes my mind except for one joke, and it's not a good joke. It's not a joke to tell.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, no, I don't know any. I
got my Cheerio joke. That's my favorite one.
I heard another joke that's not great, but it's better.
Yeah.
And I think I want to add it to the armada of jokes that I have. I want to try.
You want to tell it right now to me?
Print it in my brain. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
So there's a guy named. This ties into. I told the Blake story on here, right?
Blake?
Yeah, everybody knows Blake. The guy who used to live above me in my studio apartment.
I think so. Give me a sec before we get started. I really have to pee.
Okay.
I'm gonna pause this. And we're back. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. So the Blake backstory is basically, I don't remember if I told the story before, but when I lived in a studio apartment with Alyssa in high school, this guy above me named Blake, we didn't know that until we ordered Domino's one night, and the guy delivered it. And he's like, is Blake up there? And we're like, I don't know.
I remember Blake now.
And he's like, you guys know Blake? And we're like, no. He's like, oh, everybody knows Blake. And he just like hands us the pizza and runs past us. Just starts darting upstairs to go talk to Blake. I never saw Blake either. I never saw anybody come out of the apartment my entire time living there. But for the purpose of that, we're going to call the guy in the story Blake. So there's this guy named Blake. And Blake... runs into this guy named Ted, and Ted is like, hey, I'm Ted, and he's like, hey, I'm Blake, and he's like, I'm surprised we've never met before, and he's like, why is that? And he's like, because I know everybody.
I know this joke.
You've heard this joke before?
Yeah, okay, I love this joke. Go ahead and tell it.
And I'm gonna mix it up a little bit too. So then he's like, all right, so you know everybody, you go ahead and prove it. And so he's like, all right, name somebody. I'll take you to him. And so he names... I
thought I told you this joke.
No.
Like when we were still at Domino's.
No.
I remember telling you this joke when we worked at Domino's. You were doing the dishes.
I don't want to tell the joke anymore.
I'm so sorry. Go on. So he's like, name someone.
Seth Rogen. And he's like, all right. And so he calls Seth Rogen up, and he's like... and he was like, oh my God, you really do know Seth Rogen. And so then he's like, all right, maybe that was just a lucky thing. How about, I don't know, Tom Hanks? And then he calls up Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks is like, hi. That's not what Tom Hanks sounds like. Anyway, and so...
hey, howdy, hey.
I don't even remember how the joke goes, but eventually he's like, okay, I bet you is the Pope, isn't it? He's like, I bet you don't know the Pope. And he's like, that's an easy one. And so they fly to Italy. And the Pope is, in a big whatever the Pope does, big crowd. He's addressing mass, whatever, right. And he's like, go ahead and get in the crowd, find a seat, and I'm gonna go stand next to the Pope. And he does, and he gets up there, and they start shaking hands and hugging. They're like, hey, and he introduces like, everybody, this is Blake. And so Ted in the audience is like, wow, he really does know everybody. And the guy next to him was like, who the hell's that guy standing up there next to Blake?
Yeah.
Great joke.
I love that one.
Yeah, it's not that funny when you get to the end of it now. I guess I won't put it in the Armada.
Well, I think it's good.
It'll go in the Armada.
Like most jokes, you got to tell it a bunch of times to understand how.
Right.
Like the way I tell is
that was
like...
the first time I've ever uttered it out loud after hearing it.
Okay. Yeah, the way I tell is like, the guy's name is Dave.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you know what? The Pope might not be able to see me from up here, so you stay down here, and I'll go up there, and I'll just talk my way up because I know all the guards.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
That's way better than what I told.
And then when he comes down, when Dave
you
comes,
just told this joke. I'm like, I'll tell it, you idiot.
When Dave comes down, there's an ambulance. He had a heart attack because the guy said, "Who the fuck is up there with Dave?"
Is there more to the joke?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. I love that.
Yeah. Same joke. I got my Cheerio joke. There was a joke I wanted to say earlier when we started talking about this, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh, no. I was going to talk about the Green Goblin joke when we watched Spider-Man over the other night at Thanksgiving.
I don't remember what joke you're talking about.
You don't remember?
No.
Aunt May was praying.
Oh, yeah. What was it? Yeah. Okay, so if you're
Aunt May
familiar
was
with the first
praying,
Spider-Man
and,
movie,
the
Aunt
Green
May's
Goblin
praying
bursts through the window in an explosion, and he starts
on his
laughing.
glider.
And I pointed at him and I said, "Me when I find the doctor that fucked up my circumcision." And you said you waited for it to show Green Goblin, and you said, "That's you?" And I said, "Yeah." And you laughed harder than I've ever seen you laugh in your entire life. And you laughed well through the next scene and the next scene after that. You were laughing so hard for so long.
Because
and
he
confident
screams,
dying.
"Finish it! Finish it!"
Shows up and he's like, finish it.
It was a good joke. It was solid. I was pretty.
You were zonked, yeah.
I was zonked, but whether or not, it's still funny now. It just the timing for it was. It could not have been better. It couldn't have been better. Because I'm like, "Is that you?" And he's like, "Finish it!" And that it sent me over the edge.
I was very proud of that
missed
joke.
Probably a good 15 minutes of the movie following, just because I'm just wheezing laughing.
Wheezing is the right word, yeah.
Wheezing laughing. I was flipping through the radio recently. I know I don't really. That's a good question. You're like, why?
In 2020, you listen to the radio?
Yeah, that's exactly what this segment is, because I always listen to either like a podcast or something of my own in the car. And I was like, I haven't listened to the radio in a long time. And I was just flipping through, and they really just don't make that for people our age, do they?
No.
You just got to be like 80. I was listening to NPR for some reason. I think it was like a news story or something that brought me in. And then they had a segment where they talk about like old TV shows, and they were talking about Different Strokes. And they added, the
TV
old,
show, yeah.
And they had one of the old actors from Different Strokes on there, and they were just interviewing him and shit. And I was like, wow, this shit really is for fucking 80-year-old people, isn't it?
I think,
but for some reason, as if it were a normal podcast, it was drawing me in. I don't know, like I started listening, and I listened to it the whole ride home. But
radio shows are, I think being a radio host is like up there with one of my dream careers, but I just don't think with the way that society is going, society is going, that it's very plausible. I think that's something that's going to start dying out here pretty quick. Same with movie theaters. People are blaming COVID for the death of movie theaters.
Yeah.
They were dying long before that. It's just kind of speeding up the process a little bit.
I feel like you're right about that with radio shows, but I almost feel like they have the potential for a retro kind of comeback.
Yeah.
Because
like vinyl.
you're always
vinyl's exploding again.
Yeah. I mean, you're always going to talk about music. So even if people say society gets to the point where we don't want this bullshit anymore. We all listen to our own music. Like, sure, you can play music on the radio, but just stop fucking talking in between.
Yeah.
And shit like that. And eventually they would circle back to be like, well, people want to hear about this music. People want to hear about this and that and other news and stuff.
I think that kind of thing. Yeah. But so many radio shows are just so locally based that half the show is plugging local businesses.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't want to hear about that. I want to hear about what I'm listening to. I want to hear interesting. I think
a mix that's between always going to be there just because of cars in general.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do something in the car if you're not driving. Even people driving like to just listen to whatever. Sometimes they don't always have music. The
best radio shows, I think, are like Howard Stern.
Yeah.
And the RNHBO radio show, which usually
Howard Stern.
Yeah.
I hate him. His show is whatever. I hate his co-host too, except for Beetlejuice.
They're always the best ones are like, it's half podcast, half music.
Yeah. And
I think you and I would have a fun radio show. I think we would
have a really good time with a radio show.
We should
playing music and stuff.
Okay. I really want to figure that out. I know how to do it the very, very, very hard way and very time-consuming way. I want to find an easy way to do that because I would love to just host a little radio show with you. I know so many people who
talk
love
about
music
for hours.
You and I just take turns playing a song and talking about that song and why we like it, what it means, a fun story behind it. You and I just both have so much music to share.
Yeah. All the time.
So...
And that's what I love the most about, because recently you've been diving more and more into the Beatles.
Yeah.
And that almost didn't happen until you started diving more and more into like you're more open about like weed and stuff like that.
It's thanks to Tommy, actually.
Yeah.
Tommy was the reason I started diving. Yeah. Tommy was the reason I started. He showed me some Beatles songs. He was like, these are my favorite songs. Him and I would argue about like the Beatles versus Elvis because I thought there had to be a beef.
You were very adamant about like fuck the Beatles, it's Elvis or nothing.
Right. I saw an interview where they kind of mocked him, but Tommy was telling me like, no, dude, they actually loved him.
Yeah.
He was the first person they ever met who had a remote for his TV.
I love that.
Yeah. And you know, when that was kind of alleviated, he showed me a lot of his favorite music from them and why he liked the songs. And this is my friend Tommy. I don't know if I've talked about him on Caps Off before, but
Tommy's great.
He's really great. Yeah.
Tommy's like I said earlier, I don't take credit for you.
I'm not
jokingly
surprised
took credit for your like growing as a person, but I really don't take credit for it. But I would say he probably plays a huge role in that as well because he just. So like you come around to a lot of things when Tommy says it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've known Tommy for so long.
You hated the Beatles before, and I loved him, and now you're just all about him.
I've known him for like 5 years now.
Yeah,
and him and I have been just as close, even when I was like extremely straight. When I was in my Vader phase, like
I'd love to get him on here sometime.
Oh yeah, me too. I was not surprised in the slightest that you got along with him.
Yeah,
It started. The first interaction between you two was I told you my friend Tommy stuck a DS stylus in his penis in his urethra, and you're like, no way. And I was like, yeah. So I added you to a group chat on Instagram with him, and I was like, Tommy, didn't you do that? And he replied, and then he was like, wait, is this a group chat? He didn't even see. He just replied like, yeah, I did that. And then from there, you guys have interacted a little more, and you get along great every single time. And I'm not surprised in the slightest. You guys are very similar.
But I thought it was great because you were so just hesitant to even give them the time of day. And now almost simultaneously as you've grown into like, especially with like Prop 207 now coming out, like with weed being legal, is the perfect time for you to be like, I think I'm going to start working on this.
Yeah. I mean, I've bought Beatles. I bought Sgt. Pepper on vinyl because I loved it so much, and
I just think it's the best way to start adventuring into the Beatles because it's literally how they would have wanted you to do it when it was coming out in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and shit.
Yeah. The psychedelic. Type
you're
stuff.
living what most Beatles fans would have done it, and I just think Beatles is great sober, but it's just something else. It's
really something else, especially. Once again, Sgt. Pepper, because they started making Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band when I think it's called 2-track recording was created, like invented and made a thing, and so they were able to do so much. Their musical capabilities just opened up, and it was such an experimental album of like, how cool would this be if we could do this or trigger this or do, that, and I think that's really the start of some of their best stuff. Because they were so fuck it. I'm done with that. I'm over it.
Gonna drop the topic.
Yeah, I my brain stopped working, and I'm not gonna get it back. But we are at 1 minute and 2. Or fuck, I do that every single time. We're at 1 hour and 2 minutes. So I'm gonna shake your hand.
Alrighty.
And we will see you next time. Adios.
Such a dull ending.
Yeah, I know. I'm. What do you want me to do? A little jig?
I guess.
Should I say something controversial to end it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Do you need a minute?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Yeah, true. Well said, Yeezy.
All right, Trevor's. Did you all also get your haircuts this morning? Actually, I got mine done last night, so I'm above all of you. I'm above all of you. Duly noted. Thank you, Tie-Dye Trevor. All right, our next guy is called Bad Trevor. Okay, apparently he's got the death sentence on 12 systems. I know it's dangerous, but I'm going to go alone. I don't want to spook this guy. Hold on. A Bad Trevor? I don't know if I'm okay with that. Well, you're just going to have to make your peace with it, Trevor Cop, because We need someone who can cross the lines that we can't. All right, we all good? Tie-dye Trevor, can you boom me away?
I'm a sociopath. I plan out everything I say.
What's his deal?
We were supposed to do mushrooms together, but he ate my whole stash. And he said something about finishing off the rhinos before.
Oh, God. How many did he take?
I had an ounce.
Oh my God.
Where is he right now?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
I'm gonna talk to him.
Careful. He's killed a lot of people.
A lot of people?
Whole lot.
Whole bunch.
Okay, I'll play it safe. I'll be good. We'll be good.
Good luck.
I'll be fine.